Take 9. Hello, gang. On my Pi Day POTA video, one of the comments was asking about my antenna and how I go about the setup and whatnot. And there's I already have a video, the bits of it built for what's inside of this box. I just haven't gotten around to editing it, and adding the antenna part of it wasn't in there, won't look right. So I'm just starting from scratch. Let's see if I can make it happen this time. So part of the question really was about how I set up the mast and how it's composed and whatnot, what stakes I use. So I'm just going to take you through the entire thing I have, and that way you know exactly what I'm using. So let's start with the mast. This is a Spyderbeam 12-meter mast. It's 40 feet in Freedom units. Picked it up as part of a bunch of gear that I got from a ham that was getting out of the hobby. He had it outfitted with this plumber's fitting. It's a rubber fitting it's 2x2, so you can see on the label, and it has hose clamps on it. And I never took it off because I find it really useful to as a neck to anchor my guy wires with, right? My guy ropes. The guy ropes are reflective guy ropes. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well in the video or not, but there is a reflective material built into the rope that if you shine a light on it, it reflects back just like a street sign would. Same material that they put in sneakers to make them visible and low light. The idea being, A, I got it super bright so people would see where my guy ropes are at, and B, if there's low light, at least there's a chance that they might actually see the reflective tape if they don't see the orange. Hopefully they don't trip. My mast is in two parts because the gentleman I got it from had it as a permanent setup, and he used the hose clamps on all the sections, and he over tightened them. So one of the sections was badly cracked. I found out about it when I extended the mast for the first time and got some fiberglass shards in my hand. Not fun. After I found that out, I went ahead and lopped off the, you can see that there's a difference in length here. That's how much I cut off, actually that and some more, from the bottom half or the bottom end where the cracks were. And then I went ahead and put a hose clamp, snug but not so tight that it cracks the fiberglass, a little bit further up. And now in order to use this, I have to extend the small section, and then I drop it into the thinnest section that's still left as part of the whole mast, and then get it up in the sky. So that's why my mast is in two parts. Yes, I know that I can buy a replacement part from Spyderbeam, just haven't gotten around to it. So that's the mast and the guy ropes. Tent stakes, I go camping. So I use the tent stakes that I use at camping. I'm either going to use these things. These are Groundhogs from MSR. This is a brand new one. I always keep a spare one in my car because I go camping often. And if I bend one of the ones that's with my tent, I want to have a spare. For parks on the air, I've been using these. These are also part of my tent kit. These are SnowPeak. They're made in Japan. They're made of steel. They're hard as woodpecker lips. And I got them initially because I was going on a camping trip in a place that was mostly rock, and there was no place for a regular tent stake to bite into. The lady that runs the outfitters where I get my gear said, get these, they're going to work for you in the stone. And sure enough, these things worked really well in the stone. I've got a bunch more just because they're handy. I always have a bit of extra 550 with me. Comes in handy if I'm setting this up as a dipole, which we'll get into in a minute, but extra 550 with me is handy for many things, but in this case for the dipole part of it. Moving on to the case. So far the only sticker on it is Ham Radio Dudes. You saw that video last week or the week before, I don't remember. This is an SKB case. It's made for guitar pedals. So there's an insert inside for guitar pedals, and you're, as an artist, supposed to set it up so you can just go to your gig and pull the pedal board out and set up. I got it on a deal at Sweetwater during GearFest a couple years back. If you're not familiar with Sweetwater or GearFest, you should look it up. They didn't have it in 2020 because of the human malware virus. I don't expect they're going to have it in 2021 because of the human malware virus, but if you go, you're going to find some pretty good deals. That's where I found this case among many other things that I've bought there. Now into the case we go, and we're going to take it from top to bottom. 50 feet of M&P Airborne 5. They claim this stuff is equivalent to LMR 400. I don't know. I don't have the testing equipment to tell you it is or not. I can just tell you that it works really well for me and it's a good price for what I paid for it, right? So, coax. My primary Balun is a 1-to-1. This is overkill. It's rated for full legal power. I don't obviously use that much when I'm out doing parks on the air. But I got it as part of the same deal where I got the mast and some other gear. And it's the 1-to-1 that I have. So instead of connecting my wire directly to the coax, using this 1-to-1 does a couple of things. Today, it makes it easier to set up an antenna, and B, it keeps common mode from coming back down the coax into the radio. So it's nice to have. I put some of that reflective rope on it, through one of the eyelets on it, and then I put a slip knot at the top, and then I have some excess rope. In the event that I want to set up a dipole, I'll extend the mast, and then I will slip this over the top section of the mast, and then use the excess rope to tie it down onto the mast before I set it up. I haven't done it often because it's windy most of the time around here, and winds and this don't get along. It'll take the mast and make it wave every which way, but it does have a nice use to it. Let me see what is next. Let's talk about this one. This is also another. This is an un. It's a 9-to-1. I haven't used it for parks on the air yet. I've used it at some other places. Most parks won't let you sling a rope or an antenna over their trees. Understandable, they're there to protect the vegetation and whatnot. So I haven't used this for parks on the air yet. I imagine at some point in time I may if I get the opportunity to, but I won't break the park rules. We've got to be good ambassadors for our hobby. But it's nice to have. It fits in there. Again, overkill is also rated for 1500 watts. Way more than I need. I can probably lighten my load by a couple of pounds easily, maybe 4 pounds if I just went to a smaller 1-to-1 and a smaller 9-to-1, but we'll get there eventually. Again, got that part as part of the kit that I got from the gentleman getting out of the hobby. My spool of ground radials. This is wood that came in a package of some kind. I bought something that had a small pallet. I broke the pallet down and kept the boards because they were really good boards. Just took a hole saw on either side, and then I drilled a hole through the center and put a 1/4-inch bolt with a nut to retain it. And all of my wires have ring terminals on them that happen to fit over a 1/4-inch bolt. So it's really handy as a means to cable manage, right? I put the ring through the bolt, and I wind my wire on there. I have 2 sets of wire. One is a bundle that has, I want to say, 9 wires of 5 meters apiece or 7 meters apiece, something like that. And then there's another wire that's 135 feet, I think it is. When I'm out set up and I'm going to be there a long time, I'll set up all of it because it's super nice to have a lot of ground radials. Better to have more than what you need. My actual antennas, this is and by the way, that the 135 footer also acts as the long wire for that 9-to-1. So if I'm going to set up the 135 footer, I don't have to worry about a ground radial system. I'll just deploy that. This is a 20 and a 40 meter wire cut to resonance in the middle of the band. You can see I have them labeled with a label maker so that I know which wire is which. Not that you can miss it given they're very different lengths, but it's still nice to have those labeled out. They're wound around a similar winder made in a similar way. The ends, this is a pull-up cord. Pull-up cords in the skydiving world are used for closing parachute containers. We have 100 of them or so, from being in the sport for a number of years. Super handy for this because it's a material that will slip. It has enough grip that I don't have to worry about, and it'll slip if I'm putting too much tension on the wire. And it has slipped on me before. The way it's set up right now, I have a slip knot at the very end of it, that if I put this about midway at the top section of the mast and then extend the mast all but one section at the bottom, it'll extend the 40-meter wire perfectly. And then the 20-meter wire has 550 on it, and also has a slip knot in a much larger format because it fits a different section of the mast. And again, I just happen to know which section of the mast I need to slip it around so that it extends at full length. So when the mast is extended, both of the wires have no slack in them, but they're also not under heavy tension to put stress on the connections at the wire. So those are my two antenna wires. Let's go back here. Raspberry Pi 4 in a DeSalvo Systems case. It's a standard Raspberry Pi 4 with, let's see, I've made a note here. The script from Kilo Mike 4 Alpha Charlie Kilo. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel up here. He's got a great script that turns any Raspberry Pi into the ultimate ham radio Raspberry Pi. Every tool you could possibly want for ham radio on there. And then this case is one big heat sink, so I don't have to worry about it overheating. It works great. Check them out if you're looking into getting a Raspberry Pi. I'm going to put this back over here. Anderson, what do you call it? Power poles distribution block. This one is an inexpensive one I got on Amazon. I tested all of these to make sure that they will work. I haven't taken it apart. Maybe I'll do a ham radio dude video like it, but to cut it out and see what the solders look like in there. Let's see. Digital modes interface for my radio. This happens to be a XGGComms USB-Digimode-4. Thing I like about this versus the others that I saw is that it's a single cable to the Raspberry Pi. I don't have to worry about a separate sound card or whatnot. Single cable has cat control and sound on it, so I can do digital modes and not have to worry about plugging two more cables. These are the cables that go to the radio. Not terribly complicated about that. On the other side of the case is the mic for the radio, and my radio and tuner. This is the pedal board that you're supposed to fit your pedals to. Obviously, I haven't fitted any of the gear on there yet. I intend to at some point in time. This is an IC-706MkIIG and an LDG Z100. Let's see if I can twist that just right for you guys to see. And they came as a kit when I bought them. I haven't taken them apart. I don't see the need. If I don't need to use the tuner, I just unplug it or put it in standby mode, no big deal. Yes, I know that I can power the tuner from the radio if this port works, but right now my port doesn't work on this radio, so I need to get that fixed. So for now, I have just simple power poles, set up on the tuner power, same as on the radio. It has power poles. Where the heck are they? There they are. And that is the extent of my parts on the airbox. Basically, if I'm going to the park or if I'm going anywhere, I'm going to my niece's house this weekend, I'm going to take this with me. I'll set it up on their yard, and I'll play radio for a little bit, and then I'll go do the things that I need to do as a family member, but have a way to escape to the radio world for a little bit. That's all I got. If you have any other questions for me, just drop them in the comments down there. If you liked it, then give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, well, the other button works too. I would rather have this, but I understand. If you haven't subbed, go do that maybe if you want to see when I do more videos. And ham harder. See ya.